bring us close. That's the message to you, musicians, musicologists. Bring us close to the idea, to the thoughts of Bach, of Beethoven, of Mozart, because when those ideas were born at the time in their heads and but their brains, for sure, that's the most beautiful performance that piece ever received. What's up, everybody? It's Wim here, and I would like to talk to you in this video about something that's very dear to me, very close to my heart. It's about not only the HIPPILEO thing, I'm going to explain that in a minute, but about historically informed performance practice, HIP, and the way we share that with each other and the way we receive that from each other. And just to share with you one story that you get my position a little bit on this. When I finished my conservatory education in 1998, I studied both organ and had two main instruments, so to say, piano. So I was studying organ with Jacques van Nootmessen, and I studied piano with Willem Brons, who still is today a fabulous teacher. I'm very open to new things. I was with 2 feet in 2 worlds. When I was playing a Bach Allegro for a trio sonata and let's say a normal tempo, quarter note 84, 88, just speaking in general, in the afternoon I was playing a Mozart sonata much faster, and there was no discussion about that. Even Willem Brons was very open about this. You have to adapt to certain standards that certainly a piano school as Amsterdam, who produces generations after generations of the most fabulous pianists. Of course, you have to step into that tradition, and at that age, in your 20s, you like being a kind of rebel, of course. But it was more than that. I saw the differences and the discrepancies between the way I was playing Bach and the way I was playing, let's say, Mozart. I mean, both notations were the same type of music, not same type of music, but same type of time signature, of everything, and still there was no explanation. Nobody could give me an explanation why that Mozart sonata should be played so much faster. Jacques van Nootmessen was really open to that, but he kind of protected me from being too far out, because I still needed my degree, and with the way I'm playing Beethoven now, it wouldn't have been acceptable at those days, and perhaps not even today. But long story short, I finished in school with a thesis on piano education, which we all had to make, and I added to that a study on Chopin, Opus 10 Etudes, and it had a title, Chopin and the Speed of the Post Coach. So you understand it all by now, certainly knowing where I'm, what keeps me busy in the tempo research. It started all there. We had 1 year before a big tempo symposium where also Willem Retzer-Talsma was present. So he published in 1980 a famous book, De Wiedergeburt der Klassiker. He went to Spain after the publication of his book. You can imagine what energy, actually negative energy, that produced as well. It was fiercely rejected, but he came back in 1996 or 7, I don't remember. So it was quite something, and there I learned from him the way he looked at those metrononyms. And Lorenz Gradient will be talking about Talsma in a few sessions, so you will have his opinion about him then. But just to say that I started to see connections that I didn't see before, and reworking that article, combining the Chopin etudes with the piano school of Czerny, Opus 500, which still today is seen as kind of, I wouldn't say ridiculous, but hey, Czerny and Chopin is 2 different schools. It's remarkable how close that these etudes of Chopin are following the textbook by Czerny. But anyway, I was reworking that, also this tempo theory, and into an article that was rejected by several magazines. And I kind of understand that I was not, I had of course no understanding of those academical rules, how you should present an article, but that was not the point of, they all rejected that just based on the fact that I was talking on a metronome theory that was by definition to be rejected. And that opened in me a kind of, well, actually I should say it closed in me something as well. I understood that there was no room for sharing those things. And now, fast forward today, we still face a kind of similar situation. It's not only about tempo theory, it's also, there are a lot of fields where I have the feeling that the hip movement has become a kind of mainstream movement, that we are playing according to something everybody's applying, and that research, and I'm really generalizing here now, but that research that leads to something new that was not, that is maybe not taken for granted in the mainstream performances is difficult. It's really difficult. And on the one hand, you will face a kind of, well, rejection. On the other hand, I often have, and I'm speaking now from personal experience, you often will hear a kind of ignorance. So if it sounds okay, then it's okay for me. So, but hey, this research, this hip, I mean, where is the spirit of the Frans Bruggen who traveled all the world to play on all historical recorders that he could find, just recording them and learn from them? I'm not going to say that we should follow the way Frans Bruggen performed. I mean, he was a brilliant performer, but the spirit of experimenting, we should take that further. If that tempo research with Lorenz holds, and I'm his worst critic, I can tell you that. Authentic Sound is going to publish that work, is going to translate that work. Can you imagine what an energy, also what a cost that will be? But I want that research out. So I'm his worst critic because it's part of my responsibility. But the more I dive into that, the more overwhelming that theory becomes. And still nobody cares. Lorenz faced difficulties in publishing. He happened to be published by Catchpiegler by his way of persuading the editor himself. The whole advisory board rejected that book by definition. So if you come up with something new, if you come up with something that's really going into the mainstream way of thinking, then you will face difficulties, and that is something that I refuse to accept. And that's the reason why this HIPPILEO thing is born. Be hip, be an historical informed player, enjoy that, be a hippie, don't give a about what the establishment is telling you to think or not to think. And be a little bit like Galilei, because he faced enormous difficulties by the establishment and the church, and yet he pursued and he got his thing out and his beliefs out in which he believed. And that bravery, that brave person can guide us in our times that maybe has lost a little bit of that spirit of the 60s and the 70s, where you had an audience that was just waiting for something new. Now today, if you're doing something new, you have to explain your performance. That's what I do. And if you explain your performance, then you have people who say, why are you explaining your performance? It just should sound beautiful. I mean, yeah, okay, but historically informed performance practice forces you to think things through, to do research about things. And sharing that is a natural thing. So in that Facebook group that I created, there is a link in the description. So if you would like, check it out and say hello there to the people. We are 60 or 70 now. There you will find a neutral zone. If you have an idea to share, if you have a performance to share, that's the place. That's the place where I hope can grow to a kind of new movement where we accept the fact that looking back 200-300 years is a long time, that it should surprise us if that would not lead by definition to very new and maybe groundbreaking things, that we cannot assume that if we play Beethoven today that it is exactly as Beethoven played. We will never ever know that, but we can research that, and by doing that we can come closer, as close as we can. That's the title of this HIPPILEO group. Bring us close. That's the message to you, musicians, musicologists. Bring us close to the idea, to the thoughts of Bach, of Beethoven, of Mozart, because when those ideas were born at the time in their heads and but their brains, for sure, that's the most beautiful performance that that piece ever received, and we will never ever be able to reconstruct that. But just by acknowledging the fact that we are light years, sometimes I have the feeling, away from that, can put us in a position to fill in the gaps, and that's so fascinating. So by any means, all people who step forward, and that's of course including myself, I cannot help of me making this video because of a reason, but we should create a platform again where we embrace these novelties, where we embrace in-depth research, where we embrace people who put that in practice, not only talk but play accordingly and experiment and share and be vulnerable. That's something that HIPPILEO stands for. And if that's something for you, please go to that Facebook group, have a look. We will incorporate that in Authentic Sound as well. And if that develops, that idea of this Facebook group, we will have also a dedicated website where we will post the blog post in blog post format, the interesting ideas that come up with. And who knows, that if HIPPILEO can evolve to something bigger than just a Facebook group, maybe a new movement. That would be fantastic if that would happen. Only with your help, of course. And it starts small, but it can end, who knows where it can end. But time for a change, I thought. That's the reason for the HIPPILEO group. That's the reason for this video. Hope you don't mind sharing with you something that's really close to me. So, at the end of this video, would like to say, if you're new here to Authentic Sound, love to have you to join the Authentic Sound community. This channel is all about sharing the beauty of the music from Bach to Beethoven, and as you heard in this video, also sharing the things behind the scenes, so to say, behind the scenes of the performance, and that hopefully leads to new discoveries and inspirations for you as a musician or as a listener. If that's something for you, hit the subscribe button, hit also the bell icon so you stay on top of everything we do, also the live streams, which is a great way to interact with you. And then we see each other very soon again. Bye.